My students at the college where I teach in Edmonton, a sample for 300. This is psychology and sociology majors, so we're not talking, you know, the geeks in the computer classes. 2/3 of them started playing video games in grade three or younger. And that's just getting younger and younger and younger. And so what you're getting is kids in virtual worlds, very, very young. And there's lots of other places in their worlds where realities are changing. So you get teddy bears that learn what you're saying and respond to what you're saying. And if there's another teddy bear like that in the room, they spontaneously start singing. For a 3-year-old, the notion of mechanical realities and real reality and dream realities start to overlap. And so what happens with gamers is they begin to recognize, you know, hey, this is a dream. And as we were saying earlier, as we move more and more deeply into virtual reality, and that's the only direction it's going, there's just so much application, just huge application. And the gaming, so when it went from 2D to 3D, you know, as it becomes more immersive, and right now it hasn't been very good. I think that we're going to have more and more virtual reality. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And that as more and more people who start earlier in experiences of virtual reality, especially video gaming, but it'll, you know, there's all kinds of other ways in which we'll have our virtual office overlaying our real office as we're working. We're having our screen here as a flip up from on our glasses. As more of that happens, realities are overlapping. We're going to get better in these sort of shifting our spatial orientations. We're going to see this translate into sleep, which, well, it should. And there's going to be this awareness, and that's to me, and it's classic Buddhism. Consciousness is growing. I mean, that's one of the reasons the Buddhists talk about in their 8 yogas, that one of the steps is to know you're dreaming while you're dreaming, and then to know you're sleeping while you're sleeping, is this expansion. And I think that nature, as much as my friends would say this is not a nature statement, but I think nature and the whole development of technology and the way in which people take to it, like a fish to water, is a natural desire for these states. And I do think they'll emerge out of that, and they are emerging. It's very preliminary now. I have some data, the lucid dreaming data is probably some of the strongest. I've looked at some other stuff. The flow stuff, very, very strong. But it's just beginning, and that's because we just now have kids who are 25 to 30 who have been gaming or had cell phones or whatever since they were 10 years old or 7 years old. And that, I mean, you know as well as I do, in the technology years, in 2 years, the gaming systems are going to be, you know, a whole lot different. The cell phones, with the you know, the one with the Apple that just came out, it's just redefining, and it's happening so fast, so fast, so fast. All right, what I think is happening is that it's very clear that dreams are a constructed alternative reality. And in fact, if you begin to look at the literature, there's a strong body that says, well, so is waking a constructed reality. And it's quite remarkable because we don't hit each other in cars more than we do. So I mean, the whole argument, is there a real world out there? Well, yeah, I mean, we're constructing it reasonably similar, but if you look at eyewitness testimony, two people said the same, you know, act in a crime, and they're telling totally different stories. So we know that there's a lot of fallibility in these constructions, but dreaming is a constructed reality without sensory input. Okay, it's self-generated in the brain. Now, what happens with another constructed reality is virtual reality. That's technologically mediated as versus a waking conscious, biologically mediated, drawn from external stimuli. Dreaming, totally internally generating. So even if you know it's a dream, you still will say, you know, that mountain still is very high. If you fall down, it still hurts. It has that texture of reality. In fact, some have talked about the hyper reality of it. And so that with gamers, if you go and practice in a third constructed reality, not the waking one, not the dreaming one, but the virtual reality one, and you're in there for hours and hours and hours since you're a little kid, is it any surprise that at night you go, this isn't real? You know, either if it's oddities that cue you up or whatever it is, it's something, and it's not remarkable, but you recognize that. So I think there's that element. And the other thing that you get when you're in virtual realities is that you acquire a spatial skill. I'll never forget the first time when I went downstairs, my son had just gotten Halo 3 and he was online with one of his friends. And he was alone in the basement because he had the headphones on. And he's playing Halo, and I remember him screaming, "Eric, he's over to the right, he's behind me!" You know, Eric was not in the room, but they were in this third representational space, together, fighting somebody. My point is they get into these states that also we found highly predictive of lucid dreaming is long-term meditation. And it doesn't have to be long-term, just a regular practice, which is a focused attention, you know, and so you would expect that as well. So you can see there's a variety of ways: the meditative absorption, the spatial skill, constructed alternative reality, the motion sickness or lack thereof, all predict. Gamers are going to take us to lucid dreaming. Now, where is that? What does that mean? Where is that going? Yeah, maybe it'll be less important, but I think it'll be something about consciousness, part of this whole, people talk about evolution of consciousness. I think this is a concrete example of what that might be.